On June 5, 2007, Coldwater Creek stock surged to a record $78 per share, a moment that seemed to cement its place as the queen of the American catalog, a brand that could turn a modest farm store dream into a $1.5 billion empire overnight. Founded in 1984 by two enterprising siblings on a Minnesota farm, Coldwater Creek began as a modest mail-order operation, sending out a single 32-page catalog that promised a classic feminine style for the modern woman. The early years were defined by a simple formula: affordable, well-made apparel delivered straight to a door, a convenience that resonated with suburban housewives who wanted boutique quality without the boutique price. By the mid-1990s, the company had opened its first brick-and-mortar store in a modest mall in the Twin Cities, and the catalog's glossy pages began to circulate nationwide, fueling a rapid expansion that saw the brand launch over 150 stores across the United States and Canada by the turn of the millennium. Coldwater Creek's rise was powered by a cultural moment. The 1990s saw a boom in catalog shopping, a pre-internet era where families eagerly awaited the monthly arrival of glossy paper that offered a curated wardrobe at a click of a phone. The company's marketing honed in on the aspirational, yet attainable, effortless elegance, and its demographic of women aged 25 to 45 responded with loyalty that translated into $250 million in annual sales by 2002. Investors took notice, and the company went public in 2000, raising $65 million to fund an aggressive expansion plan that included opening 150 new stores in just 3 years. But the very forces that propelled its ascent began to sow the seeds of its downfall. By 2005, the internet was no longer a novelty. E-commerce giants like Amazon and fast fashion sites such as Zara and H&M were reshaping how women shopped. Coldwater Creek's digital strategy lagged, relying on a clunky website that replicated the catalog experience rather than offering a seamless, mobile-first platform. Meanwhile, the company's growth was financed largely by debt. In 2006, it issued $500 million in high-yield bonds, a gamble that assumed sales would continue to climb at double-digit rates. Warning signs flickered in the quarterly reports. In 2008, the first full year of the Great Recession, sales slipped 7%, and the company posted its first loss since going public. Store traffic dwindled as consumers tightened belts, and the once profitable catalog mailing list began to shrink as households shifted to free online content. In an effort to stem the bleed, Coldwater Creek slashed its catalog frequency from 12 issues a year to 6, a move that alienated loyal customers who relied on the monthly rhythm. The brand also began closing underperforming stores, but the closures were reactive rather than strategic, leading to a patchwork of empty storefronts that hurt the brand's image. The tipping point arrived in 2012, when the company announced a massive restructuring plan, a $75 million debt refinancing, a reduction of its workforce by 20%, and a pivot toward a digital-first model. The plan required a rapid overhaul of technology, inventory management, and marketing, all while the debt service on its bonds remained unchanged. The new website, launched in early 2013, was plagued by glitches, inventory mismatches, and a checkout process that frustrated shoppers. Social media, once a peripheral channel, now became a battlefield where dissatisfied customers aired their grievances, and negative reviews multiplied. By the end of 2013, the company's cash burn had accelerated, and it warned investors that it might not meet its debt obligations. On November 13, 2014, Coldwater Creek filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, listing $1.6 billion in assets against $2.2 billion in liabilities. The filing disclosed that the brand had lost more than $400 million in the previous 3 years, a stark contrast to the $78 per share high just 7 years earlier. In the bankruptcy court, the company announced the closure of all 150 remaining brick-and-mortar locations and the termination of its catalog program, effectively ending an era that had defined American retail for 3 decades. The aftermath was a mixture of nostalgia and pragmatic reinvention. In 2015, a private equity firm purchased the Coldwater Creek name and its remaining inventory, relaunching the brand as an online-only retailer. The new iteration stripped away the catalog, focusing on a streamlined e-commerce platform that leveraged data analytics to target former customers with personalized emails and social media ads. While the revived brand managed to generate modest revenue, it never recaptured the cultural cachet of its heyday. The catalog, once a staple on kitchen tables across the nation, had become a relic of a pre-digital age. Former employees, many of whom had spent years building relationships with customers through handwritten notes and personalized service, spoke of the loss not just of jobs but of a community that had been built around the rhythm of the monthly issue. Coldwater Creek's story is a cautionary tale of how quickly a retail giant can falter when it misreads the tide of technology and consumer behavior. Its rise was meteoric, fueled by a simple promise and a well-timed medium, but its collapse was equally swift, driven by debt overload, delayed digital adoption, and an inability to pivot quickly enough in the face of an evolving marketplace. Subscribe to The Collapse for more stories like this.